Now to a story you'll see only on 13 News Now. The new chairman for the board of Portsmouth's problem-plagued public housing agency hopes to transform it.
Davy Smith III doesn't believe the quote-unquote projects or public housing don't have to live up to the traditional negative stereotypes. Tonight he's talking with Laura Geller, and his motivations for making his mark might surprise you.
It's an agency that's been in the news for all the wrong reasons. The Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority has struggled through a federal investigation, flooding and mold in apartments, the firing of an executive director, and eventually the removal of the Board of Commissioners. That's where Davy Smith III comes in.
They voted me in, and we kind of went from there.
Smith is no stranger to public service. He's the former chair of the Portsmouth Planning Commission.
I knew I could do the job and be a leader.
He believes public housing must change.
A lot of these places were created in the 40s and the 50s, and now it's kind of, you know, they outdated themselves. We're in 2017.
PRHA commissioners are volunteers, but Smith isn't just a Portsmouth citizen giving his time. Being the chairman of this particular board is personal.
I'm back at the place where I started. I grew up in public housing, and now I'm the chair of the board. It was a surreal moment for me.
Smith nostalgically maps out his childhood in the poverty and crime-ridden Jeffrey Wilson homes.
The first one I lived in was right there, 118 Project Drive. I've seen violence, domestic violence. I've seen drug dealing. I've seen people on the corner drinking.
He's seen it because he's lived it. Some of the memories forever etched in his mind are not the memories you'd expect from a typical childhood.
Another group of guys came and they had masks on, they had guns. And my cousin was across the street yelling, "Y'all run, 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 they coming." And I go to peep around the dumpsters we used to have in the community, and I peep around the dumpster. The guys with masks on with guns.
What was that like growing up with that?
Scary.
Smith's brothers were not always on the straight and narrow. His mother was a drug addict.
Watched her do drugs as a kid. I seen her out there. I remember that stuff.
We met Smith at Seaboard Square, where the Jeffrey Wilson projects he grew up in used to stand. They were demolished about a decade ago. The unusual path of Smith's life led him to the Planning Commission, which gave the order to tear down the decaying buildings. Our walk through the community causes Smith to reflect on his motivations for public service.
I wanted more because what I was exposed to, the crime, the dysfunction, all that stuff, I wanted more.
He credits football, some family members, and people in the community for allowing him to change his life.
The exposure for me to other things that were just more to Jeffrey Wilson, it's more than just Portsmouth. That helped me. That helped broaden that dream that I can do it.
He is hoping his footsteps put people living in PRHA communities on a new path.
What's the lesson in your life story?
Let no one set limits on you.
I asked Smith if we were talking in 5 years, what would be different about PRHA? He said, like Jeffrey Wilson, Lincoln Park probably will be demolished and Dale homes will be modernized as well. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.